I resorted to blackmail to get rid of a blackmailer. This is some eye for an eye stuff.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
I'm already invested.
Welcome back to Delve Deck Stories. I'm Tess. This is Gabe. And we are about to read some stories about problematic exes, cheating, breakups in general.
My favorite.
Your favorite is breakups. These are all stories that were inspired by questions in our Delve decks. Let's get into it. First, we have a story from Ethan. He was answering the question, what is something you're still angry about from the original deck?
Ooh.
All right. Ethan says, I resorted to blackmail to get rid of a blackmailer. This is some eye for an eye stuff.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
I'm already invested.
Yeah. My friend Erica dated this rich type a few years ago who I hated immediately. He was a typical trust fund brat with a cushy fake job at his dad's company.
Gotta love nepotism. That's the best.
I want to know, okay, like VP of sales, but they had all these salespeople under him, and he basically did nothing all day but play golf and drink overpriced whiskey at a country club. That sounds like that's what salespeople do, right?
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Deals are made on the golf course.
Yeah, and over whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this sounds like he may have had a real job. Maybe sales is just a fake job.
Maybe.
He came from this rich conservative family and was, of course, very Republican and homophobic. I am gay, and he would always make cracks at me and my boyfriend, asking which of us was the woman in our relationship. Why was your friend dating this dude? Because he was rich?
I mean, money can only buy so much, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's going to totally wash over any sort of bigotry.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know why. Why were you friends with this person?
Why?
Or
Well,
why was this
why
person?
was
Why
your
was
friend-
your friend dating this person?
Yeah. I was thrilled when they broke up, but my joy was quickly replaced with rage when I found out he was threatening to circulate nudes of my friend if she didn't get back together with him within a few weeks of the breakup. Classic.
That's called revenge porn.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
Very illegal. I told her she should tell the police, but she thought it might not be a good idea because of his influential family. Who knows if they could get the police to ignore her complaint.
Do they live in like some small town where like the dad is friends with the sheriff, right? And the son, like this feels like the plot of some Roadhouse kind of thing where it's like it's a small town, there's connections, it's a lot of corruption, you know, not necessarily this exactly, but I just feel like it feels like a small town for someone to be like, their family was influential. Like, what are they, billionaires? Are they like,
I mean, maybe.
All right.
He was doing sales on the golf course, and
yeah.
if you do sales on the golf course, I assume you're a billionaire.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I mean, like, his family could be in politics or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know anything. We don't know. I was at a gay bar in the city a couple hours from home the weekend after this drama started, and who do I see at the bar all over a man? Rich
Of course.
Classic.
It's the projection, you know, the suppressive kind of self-hate. It's classic. Show me a conservative Republican who isn't a gay man. Okay? I'm just saying. They're all closeted in some way. They hate on other people when really it's just their own inability to accept themselves as who they are.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It really is. Suddenly his obsession with me and my boyfriend made a lot of sense. I started taking pics and videos of rich and told Erica I knew how to get him to leave her alone. Next day, I sent him a pic via email and told him, no one has seen these yet but you and me, but if you bother Erica again, everyone will see them, and there's a lot more videos and photos where this one came from.
Ooh.
All right, so this is where we're blackmailing the blackmailer.
Right.
Do you think this is justified?
100%. Because here's the thing. I don't even think the first one is blackmail necessarily, as it's just revenge porn.
Well, sure.
Yeah. So when I look at this, I'm like, oh, it's not really like, hey, I'll reveal this, whatever, unless you don't give me money or something.
Yeah.
This is the scenario where I'm like, totally justified. This is a guy who sounds like a terrible person.
Yes.
And this is like, hey, leave this person alone, and I won't expose your secret.
Yeah.
I feel like it's totally. I feel like
I agree with you.
This is the type of like hero we need in society, you know?
We need people to be taking pictures of all of the rich.
I mean, if you were to follow a bunch of Republican, people, lawmakers in D.C., I'm sure that you would find a lot of revealing stuff.
You would find them. I feel like, okay, here's some evidence that this guy must not be that powerful, because I bet that a lot of the people who have that level of power are going to some weird underground clubs where you have to sign an NDA. You don't just go to, like, I get that it was a couple hours from home, but it does make it sound like, all right, you had a lot of money.
Also, I feel like if this person was very influential, this person who's writing the story wouldn't exist anymore.
We don't know.
I just feel like they're
Ethan,
like, oh, this person's
are
a
you
problem.
Gonna be okay? I knew he was going to have to quit his bullshit, because we both know the pics are real and we both know how his family would react. He didn't reply to my email, but he also never bothered my friend again. I am still pissed he was such a creep that he thought he could bully my friend into being his beard for life, and that I had to sink to his level to get rid of him.
I don't even think it sinks to the level. I think the thing that the rich was doing is way worse.
It's 100% way worse.
Way worse. So I don't think Ethan is sinking to the level. I think he just like came down to like check rich,
Also, this dude just wants to like control her. I'm like, if you have this much money, you can find somebody else.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Also, just be gay. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like, we're not going to judge you. Other Republicans might judge you, but we won't.
Yeah, just be gay.
Just be yourself. Be happy. There's nothing wrong with that,
All right. Next story?
Next story.
Our next story comes from Julia, and she responded to, "What about you sounds made up but is true." This is also from our original deck. All right. From Julia. "I have been divorced twice, and both of my ex-husbands cheated on me with the same woman." What? How does this even happen?
I have so many questions.
I think I know that we will find out, but I'm just like, were you friends with this? Like, how did this person end up?
They were the same friend group, and
I feel like this woman has like a vendetta against you. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, like she was like, "I'm playing the long game, and I'm gonna screw over," pun intended. Every relationship you have.
Yeah.
She's like, "Remember that one time you didn't invite me to whatever
to
thing
your birthday party in high school?" I met my first husband, Brandon, working at a restaurant in my early 20s. We dated for a few months before I got pregnant, and we decided to get married since we had a baby on the way. Also, working at the restaurant was this woman, Victoria, who was always flirting with Brandon, but I knew he was with me and didn't think much about it.
Vicky, she sounds very icky.
Stupid. This feels, like classic restaurant.
Yeah.
Vibes, Also, I don't know. All right. Anyway, at 20 weeks, I ended up losing the pregnancy, which was really hard on both of us. That sucks. I fell into a deep depression, and I didn't want to go anywhere or see anyone. Eventually, Brandon started going out without me, complaining he couldn't just spend every night moping around the house forever. Wow, this sounds like a terrible person.
Sounds like the worst partner.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, I don't want to say that it's good that
Vicky was doing her a favor. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, like, maybe Vicky was there. Who knows? Maybe in the end, like, Vicky's the real hero here, and she's like, "Look, I'm gonna clean up this bad toxicity in your life. I'm gonna take it on." Like in the Green Mile, where he's like, "Let me take the pain away from you." Like, that's what Vicky's doing. She's going and she's like, "Hey, let me take on this thing by having an affair with this guy. You don't understand yet.
You just lost your baby, but I'm doing you a solid here.
I can see the future. Yes.
Okay. We started fighting more, and one night I couldn't sleep and saw his phone had a bunch of texts coming in. I looked at his phone and saw they were all from Victoria, and it was very evident to me that he had been cheating on me with her. I woke him up and started screaming at him about what a dirtbag he was to cheat on me to begin with, but especially after I'd lost a pregnancy and was going through a hard time. Yeah, no, this dude's bad.
Yeah. Bad news bears. Gotta go.
I packed up my things and stormed off and told him I wanted a divorce. This just sucks that she married him.
Yeah, I know. But I guess in that situation, right, you get pregnant and you're like, well, I guess we're going to do this, right?
I guess. Unrelatable. All right. Anyway, with no baby on the way at this point, I felt we'd rushed into things. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life with a cheater, especially a man who'd cheat on me after losing a baby we were going to have together. Yeah, this, again, bad. Yeah. Okay. Fast forward several years later, and I met Andrew on a dating app. I want to know if she's still working at this restaurant.
I don't know.
Right. Anyway, we hit it off pretty quickly and started dating seriously. He proposed after a year and we got married. Andrew worked in sales and traveled a lot for work.
Oh, boy.
These salespeople.
You can't trust them.
You can't trust them. They're
and
out on golf courses.
Restaurant is also sales because you're like trying to sell items on a menu.
Oh, man.
All salespeople are bad.
They will all cheat on you. Don't come for us. Salespeople scare me. Don't.
You know, it's the new ACAB. It's ASPAB.
ASPAB.
Yeah, all salespeople are bad.
ASPAB. Yeah. Make it a thing.
Just know that I started it first.
Okay. Worked in sales, traveled a lot for work, so it wasn't unusual for him to be out of town. We'd been trying to have a baby when I finally got pregnant. I don't know why. This is part that just like depresses me. All right, I know that people have babies and that makes them happy.
Yeah. But Victoria seems to find the opportune time to ruin a relationship by when a pregnant.
It's her fault for getting pregnant. No, it's ASPAB.
It's ASPAB. Also Victoria, but also ASPAB. Mainly ASPAB.
Is it all sales ASPAB?
Yeah, ASPAB.
Okay.
All salespeople are bad.
Yeah, ASPAB. Got it.
We should make a shirt, ASPAB. Let's get that going.
ASPAB. Hashtag ASPAB. Share your story about a salesperson getting you pregnant and cheating on you. Hashtag ASPAB. All right. When I finally got pregnant, I found out while he was out of town. I was excited to tell him, but wanted to tell him in person. I knew he was in Miami for the week for his job, and I knew which hotel he was staying in, so I decided to surprise him and booked a flight down there to tell him the news in person. This is very romantic, but I just know where the story's going, so I'm sad.
Also, I feel like any story in Miami doesn't end well.
No, never.
You're like, I went to go see him in Miami for a
I
sales
wonder
conference.
What he was doing in Miami. You think Vegas is bad?
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm here to see some clients. That client being Victoria.
I texted him when I landed and said, hey, let me know when you get back to your hotel. I want to chat and catch up tonight before bed. He said he would, and I waited around the hotel lobby for him to return from work. I waited for hours with no sign of him. Around 9 p.m., I texted him and said, are you back yet? No reply. I called him, and he replied via text, can't talk, took a client to dinner, call you tomorrow. It's like 9 p.m.
Wow.
Oh my God. I waited around the hotel lobby for him since I was expecting to sleep in his room. And eventually I saw him walk in with his arm around goddamn Victoria. No. What's Victoria doing in Miami? I am so... Victoria.
What is she doing? We know what she's doing, or rather who she's doing. Victoria, what did I say? Vicky is so icky. Said it from the beginning. She's terrible. She's the worst.
I don't understand if Victoria is just like stalking her and finding all the people she's with. Like, this feels so crazy.
Yeah. It feels intentional, malicious, obviously, but
I don't understand how Victoria ended up in Miami.
I also don't see this
other than that's where all bad people go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that this is something where you're like, oh, that's a crazy coincidence. No, it's not. This is not a coincidence. This is
vindictive.
This is to have the same woman enter into your relationship with a second partner and ruin it.
Especially,
also around the time you're pregnant.
Yeah, around the time that you're pregnant. Also in like a similar it would, okay, if it was like another person at the same restaurant or something like that, like you're all still working together, okay, fine, it makes sense. This doesn't make any sense. How'd she find you?
Also,
how'd she find him?
That's a good question too, because now I'm curious, how did the relationship with Ethan, or no, Brandon? Who was the first?
Brandon was the first.
Right, so
they worked at the restaurant together.
Right, so I want to know how that, did she quit? Did Victoria quit?
I know, I want to know if they still work together. But also, Victoria appears to be in Miami unless she's traveling with this man. Anyway.
I'm going with traveling.
Yeah?
There's no
way,
right? Like,
no, I agree. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, she has to be lingering around the town somewhere, like in the shadows.
Looking around, seeing what Julia's up to.
She's like in the window, peering in. She's like, okay, that's the guy. Got it.
Got it. And I guess that's who I'm going to be with next.
Yeah. Anyone she chats with, that is the next target.
God, Victoria. Okay. I was furious. I stomped over to them and made a huge embarrassing scene, cursing them both out. I could not believe not only was I being cheated on again, but with the same person almost a decade later. Andrew and I got divorced, but at least I got an awesome daughter out of that mess. Thankfully, things did not work out with him and Victoria, so at least my kid doesn't have to have that for a stepmom.
Damn. But also, it sounds like these dudes are like she does
have
Brandon.
To have Andrew for a dad.
Right. But she didn't stick Victoria didn't stick around with Brandon. Then she didn't stick around with Andrew. So it's like, clearly, I mean, you know, these cheaters are not great men.
No.
So that the relationship was doomed from the start.
It was doomed from the start. And also, Julia, I think that the next person you date, you need to like keep them secret.
Yeah. Like, don't announce that shit. Keep
Victoria's
it on the
coming
low
for them.
now.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta, or just move to a new move to a new country.
You gotta leave the country at this point.
I just feel like Victoria.
Take your daughter and leave.
Victoria is like a local menace. Like,
she'd probably move to the country.
Probably.
Victoria's a creep.
She's just like the Babadook, man. She's crazy haunted. She's gonna follow you.
She's been cursed by Victoria.
Yeah.
All right. Our final story comes from Melissa.
Ooh.
She answered the question, who is the worst person you ever dated? This is from the venting edition.
I could say either Brandon or Andrew or any of these
all
dudes.
Of these people, all of these sales people.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
ASPAB. All salespeople are bad. I'm still trying to make it a thing.
ASPAB. Melissa, I wonder if this person is also going to work in sales. And if they do, hashtag ASPAB.
Hashtag ASPAB. It's gonna take off like wildfire.
My boyfriend cheated on me for 2 years, or more specifically, cheated with me on the girl he was with before we met. So she was unknowingly the other woman.
Or does it say she's unknowingly the other woman? She was the person that he was cheating with.
Cheated with me on the girl he was with before we met. So he was with somebody, and he started dating Melissa.
So she didn't know?
Apparently, according to this story.
Is that clear? I don't know if I got that from the beginning there.
Well, she said my ex-boyfriend cheated on me for 2 years. So she's either totally delusional or she didn't know. We're going to find out. Melissa, do you work in sales?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
VP, Global Sales.
Yeah. I'm the VP of Global Sales. Oh, no. Salespeople are going to be mad at us. Hashtag ASPAB. I met Tom through mutual friends and was attracted to him right away. We started dating, and he had a roommate, Michelle, who he told me was a childhood friend, and they decided to move to New York at the same time from the Midwest and got a place together to share rent.
Red flag.
They were living together. I mean, it's not okay. It's not that much of a red flag to like have a female roommate.
I don't know. You're like, oh, we were.
I've had male roommates that I was not dating.
Look. Okay, Tess, I'm just saying, it seems like a bit, if you're like, oh, who's that person? And then they go, oh, a childhood friend, we're living together. You can't tell me that they have not either attempted to date or hooked up or there's some feelings there. Somebody felt something at some point, just saying. I've been in relationships where I have been friends with other women, and then
Are we not friends, Gabe?
we are friends.
Oh, should be worried?
No, she's totally fine, but it's also the idea of specifically you cannot date someone or hook up with them and then expect to be friends after. Are you friends with anyone that you've ever hooked up with or dated?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, guess I'm the outlier here. I just feel like it doesn't. It's just like there's always one person in the relationship in that scenario where they want more, the other person doesn't. It's weird, awkward.
It doesn't have to be, though. I'm not friends with every single ex that I've had or every single person I've hooked up with, but there's some where it just like ends and it just does end, and you're like, it's like not that big of a deal.
Maybe, I don't know. I personally, I've always just never, but maybe I've just never been friends with or been in a relationship where I thought it was like, oh, this is strong enough that I want to be friends with this person after.
Sure.
But I mean,
I
don't
think
feel like it's easy to do because there's still that like thing there that you
tension.
Yeah, it's like, oh, will they, won't they kind of thing, and it's just sitting there.
I think there doesn't have to be. Not everything is a romantic comedy.
But that's how I live my life. My life is a romantic comedy. I'm running through airports trying to get to the person at the gate.
I would love for everyone to chime in. Also, I would love to. Okay, so fine. Your opinion is that if you've hooked up, but you don't think that men and women can be friends, period, or you just think that there's history? Because bisexual people exist, Gabe. And what, are they not allowed to have friends? Are we just not allowed to have friends?
No, it's specifically, and I should specify that when I started, specifically those that you have either hooked up with or been in a relationship with, where it's hard to be friends. I just don't see it done. And you can disagree. That's the way this works.
I would love for people to chime in on this. I have friends that I have hooked up with in the past, and I don't currently hook up with them.
Well, that's good.
And I don't plan to do it in the future either. Also, just to clarify, I'm not waiting for my relationship to end.
I'm just holding out.
Like someday. No, a lot of them are in relationships now.
Good for them.
It's fine. Yeah. It's whatever.
I just don't think it works out.
Like, I just don't. I'm living proof that it works out.
Well, you're an outlier. I don't know.
I'm not about to like name names, but like.
Oh, I'm not asking you to.
I know, but I want to right now because you know some of them. Anyway, please chime in the comments and let us know who's right and who's wrong.
I'm right.
I'm pretty sure Gabe sounds like he works in sales right now.
Look. Hashtag NASPAB. NASPAB. Not all salespeople are bad.
Are you team ASPAB or team NASPAB?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
I do think that this situation is bizarre, though, because this requires so much lying on Tom's part. It's crazy.
It is. I do know someone who was married, had a kid, and had an affair. And was doing this.
It just seems like so much work.
It is so much. Look, it's hard enough to maintain my own life
and
all my responsibilities, to then add a whole separate partner and or family in another area with a home and a mortgage and all that stuff. Like, what are you guys doing? How do you do this?
How do you have time for this?
Maybe you should be a spy or something.
I'm like obviously cheating we can agree is bad.
Yeah.
I don't understand who has the energy specifically for a marriage, kid, like a whole other life.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Don't do it. Just do the one relationship and just focus on that and do it well, And if you're not happy, then you break up and you find a new relationship.
You break up with each other.
Yeah.
Also, this next thing, massive red flag.
Oh, God.
I'd never met Michelle, but I saw pics of her, and in terms of looks, she and Tom were such a dramatic mismatch that it didn't even occur to me that she could be anything but a roommate. First of all, that's kind of f***ed up on your part, Melissa.
Yeah. I thought she was going to say they looked identical or very similar, and I was like, oh.
But also, if you date somebody for 2 years and you never meet their roommate, that's very strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big red flag.
I dated Tom for 2 years and we eventually even moved in together. When this happened, he told me Michelle was pissed he was moving out and they were in a fight. I thought it was a bit odd, but didn't give it much thought. I told him maybe he should take a break from that friendship and he agreed. To my knowledge, Tom was in grad school and had a tech support job. Tech support.
That's kind of like sales, I guess.
What is our new acronym? All tech
many
support.
This acronym's getting too big.
ATSBAB.
But on that one, now I want to know, did he actually say, like, did he actually move out? Or did he keep the separate apartment with the other roommate friend, really the girlfriend, and then had a second apartment with his current girlfriend?
Well, you're about to. That is exactly what it was.
Oh my gosh, guys! Why are you paying double rent? It's so dumb. In New York City,
financially irresponsible.
It is the dumbest move. But I guess
Are
if
they
he's
in New York City,
they said New York, right?
I don't think that was ever said. I think you decided they were in New York.
I thought they said New York City in the beginning.
No.
Did I imagine that? Well,
in New York City.
Yeah, in New York.
You're like, I just get New York City vibes.
I just thought it was a New York City thing.
I don't think that was said. Oh, no, you're totally right.
Yes. Boom. I'm a good listener, guys. If you ever want to talk,
even know what
just
I'm
let me
saying.
know, because I listen real good.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you understand, even on its own.
No, that's very expensive.
Even on its own, in New York City, the cost of living is crazy.
On a tech support job?
Yeah.
Obviously doing sales on the side. All right, anyway.
Just dabbling in sales.
When he wasn't around, I was under the impression he was either in class or at his job. The tech support job had night shifts, so him disappearing overnight didn't seem that odd. What tech support needs to be overnight? What? Does that need to happen overnight?
No, typically that's like hey, I'm calling tech support, and then that person is working the opposite hours in another country.
Yeah. Whatever. There really were not a ton of clues that Tom was romantically involved with Michelle. Disagree. He was living with me and even took me back to Wisconsin to meet his parents a few times. Michelle,
were those real parents or were they actors? Huh?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Tom's spending a lot of money on this.
This is quite the game that he's trying to play.
It's crazy. Michelle never came up in conversation, and as far as I knew, they weren't even friends anymore. Things started going poorly with Tom after a while. He was moody and would pick fights and said some really atrocious things in the heat of the moment. At one point, he lost his temper with me and was yelling in my face. And when I shrunk away, he said, "Geez, I'm not going to hit you. I'm not your dad." What the f***?
What?
He said this knowing my dad was a violent drunk when I was a kid and that it had affected me well into adulthood. I was furious he would bring it up in such an insulting way.
That is so messed up. Like, to pull that
I
one
feel like
out.
this dude is bad and it's just like getting worse and worse and worse.
But that, I mean, okay, outside of the fact that this guy's having an affair, and living this double life and cheating and all that stuff, like that, obviously major red flags. But the idea that she, right, would reveal such a vulnerable thing about her past, and then he goes, "Let me just pull this one out and use it against you."
Yeah, what a
that is so up.
Breaking up with him was definitely on my mind, but then I found out about the Michelle thing. I was home sick from work, and I'd left my laptop at work, so I borrowed his computer to look something up online.
Oh, no.
Classic.
Text
this
messages.
was before smartphones.
Oh.
When I logged into his computer, his email was open, and I am not the type to snoop, but I saw a ton of messages from Michelle, the ex-roommate he told me he hadn't spoken to since they fought about him moving out. I started looking through the emails, and it was very clear to me that him and Michelle were together and had been for a very long time. I was furious. I logged into my email on his computer and emailed Michelle since I now had her email address. I told her Tom and I were together, but she could have him if she wanted him because I was done. She replied, expressing shock at the situation, and told me she would be breaking up with him too. No idea if she actually did though, nor do I care. I gathered some things and went to a friend's place and left a note for Tom telling him I knew about the Michelle situation and our relationship was over. I told him I wanted him to move out ASAP and that I was staying at a friend's house and he could let her know when he was gone so I could return home. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Mercifully, Tom moved out in less than a week and left me a long letter admitting he'd been lying about everything for years. Whatever, Tom.
Yeah.
He told me he started dating Michelle years before he met me, and when they got together, she looked really different. What the f***? Tom, that's not an excuse. That's really f***ed fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so upsetting. In the years they dated, she'd gained a lot of weight and really changed her appearance, and he wasn't attracted to her anymore, but didn't have the heart to break up with her, so he, had a whole second life, you fucking maniac?
He's like, oh, guys, I'm not really confrontational,
He's like,
even though I will yell at you.
Like, no, you understand, this is a legit reason.
Yeah, guys, listen.
Totally reasonable.
Look, I'm in tech support. I'm not a heartbreaker, okay?
Oh my God, I'm not one of those sales guys.
I'm not gonna crush you, okay? I'm gonna let you down softly. After maybe 30 years of marriage, unhappy relationship, that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh my God. Okay. He also admitted that he had dropped out of grad school over a year ago and also wasn't working at the tech job.
Of course.
He was just splitting his time between our apartment and the one he shared with Michelle, and he wasn't working or going to school, just juggling 2 girlfriends.
Okay, so not only does he pay rent for 2 places, but he also doesn't have a source of income to pay for those 2 places.
He was using the money his parents were sending for school to pay his bills. Oh my God. No idea what his long-term plan was, since eventually I assume his parents would want to stop sending money for school. But his decision-making was so stupid that it's entirely possible he had no long-term plan. I doubt he did. This guy sounds like an idiot.
He's like, I'm going for my PhD.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do.
He's like,
he's
keep
like, I'm just
sending me
gonna
money
keep
while
staying in
I
school.
keep 2 girlfriends.
Yeah.
His letter was shockingly apologetic, but still left me feeling no sympathy for him.
I would have burned that letter. I would have been like, oh, letter, boom, done.
That letter would piss me off.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you don't get any right to speak to me.
If I saw a really long letter, as she described it, I would have just thrown it away or burned it or shredded it, to be like, I never want to have the interest in reading that, so I'm going to get rid of it as soon as possible in a way that destroys it completely. But the idea that this guy has the gall to be like, let me write you this letter and apologize and try to come up with these lame-ass excuses about someone's appearance in some way as like, that's legitimate.
Like, you're writing that in a note, you maniac?
Yeah.
That's so weird. All right. I was glad to have him out of my life and never spoke to him again. Good. I guess that's a happy ending. I hate this man. All right. That is it for Delve Deck stories. If you would like to share one of your stories, you can go to share.delvedeck.com. Get yourself one of these Delve Decks. They're super fun to play with, and you can share your stories with us or your loved ones. If you liked this video, make sure you like and subscribe and check out some of these other videos on the screen.